Well, I had a gentleman drop in here the other day who had been checking out that citrus video that I did just recently, and he found himself fascinated with the idea of Valencia. This is a Valencia orange right here behind me. The man says that he would buy oranges from the market and eat at least one orange every day. And when I said that the Valencia was capable of producing oranges year-round, this really caught his interest. And so he wanted to come on up in here and have a look at the trees and talk with me about it. And I'll admit, his idea of having a single citrus tree to provide for year-round oranges is, well, it's a very desirable idea. That's all I can say, because usually most fruit trees are highly seasonal. Yes, I mean, you got a cherry tree, it's making cherries on the 4th of July, you know. You got, pineapples here. It's pretty much from July to October. That's it, you know, nothing else outside of that. That's the truth with most fruiting plants. There are exceptions. The Valencia back here. The Valencia right now is in bloom. It smells really good. Those of you who are not familiar with the smell of citrus flowers, oh, yes, it's fabulous. All right, so we have flowers. We have pea-sized fruits in here. There's a couple of them right there. We have small green golf ball-sized fruit. We have larger green fruit. We have yellow-green fruit that's larger yet. We have orange fruit right here. Here's one pretty orange down in here. There is fruit in almost every state hanging in the tree right now. Now, people do have a lot of trouble trying to figure out what state the fruit is in, because in Valencia, green does not necessarily indicate unripe. You can get a re-green Valencia where it may have turned orange over the winter from winter cold, but then spring comes and it's hanging there, the sap runs in the tree and it starts to turn green again. Yeah, and that'll be the sweetest Valencia you'll ever eat. A re-green Valencia is fabulous. Over there in Kona, the oranges that they get on the Valencias are all brown and netted, ugly, delicious. Kona browns. Well, over here they tend to be mostly orange. Yeah, mostly orange. A little yellowish maybe. It's not the brightest color on a piece of citrus that I've ever seen. Our nights aren't terribly cold, and that would make them color up more. But the tree does have the potential of coming out into the garden every day and possibly finding an orange that you can have for breakfast. And of course, the Valencia is a flexible orange because it's a good juicer too. Now, some citrus don't juice well. The navels are great oranges, but if you juice navels and then put it in the refrigerator, it turns bitter. All right, Valencia doesn't do that. All right, now there's the positive side of things. Now, the negative side, from my point of view, is, one, I get tired of eating Valencias. Even though I have them in the tree, I may not go after them because I may have had just about enough of that. It's a standard, classic orange flavor. In this house, I think Ellen and I both prefer tangerines and tangelos. And so if our choices are between an orange and a tangelo, we're going to take a tangelo. Well, I've got, 4 or 5 varieties of tangelos around here. I got about 3 varieties of tangerines. I have, lemons, limes. I have some blood orange, too. I've got some kumquat. These are all citrus. Now, they are so distinctly different from each other in many cases. I mean, a tangerine is not an orange, okay? It is and it isn't, right? They're similar, but you can't peel an orange like you can peel a satsuma, all right, for instance. And generally, tangerines divide into sections. They are generally juicier and not as solid. You put a piece in your mouth and it goes, turns into juice, and so on. Well, as I say, I get tired of eating the same piece of fruit all the time. And so I have, I think 14 citrus trees here on the property. They come in different seasons. And so we'll go from one to another, to another, to another, to another as things go around. This keeps us from getting tired of eating the same old thing every day of the year. I like variety, yeah. Well, now here comes the problem, though, because I like variety, and I am recommending, really, that people plant several different types of fruit trees if you're doing this, so you have rotations of seasonal rotations. But one good orange tree, like this one back here, one good orange tree is going to provide more oranges than the ordinary family can handle. Yeah, one. Well, I got like 14, all right? That means we got a lot of fruit coming down, more than I can use. We sell it, we give it away, a lot of it go to compost, blah, blah, blah. It's just part of the program. There is almost no way, unless you really plan this, that you can have more than one fruit tree in your yard and not have waste. You'll often go by people's yards and you'll see tangerines hanging in the trees around here. Well, a couple of reasons why that's happening. They can't eat them all, okay? Finding a market for them is not necessarily easy, and very possibly they've gone overripe and nobody wants them anyway, but they're still hanging in the tree. This happens a lot. That situation happens here. People look out in my garden and go, oh my goodness, look at all the dancing tangerines you have. And I go, yeah, they got too ripe last month, still hanging up there. You don't want them. Yeah, that's the case. Now, there is such a thing as multiple grafted trees, where you say you take an apple tree and they may have put 4 or 6 different varieties of apples on the top of that trunk. They do it with pears. It's done with cherries. And in the case of apples, pears, and cherries, I think it's a really good idea. Yeah, because they're not all self-fertile anyway, and so a lot of them require cross-pollination, and so that solves that problem. And some varieties may not be quite so well adapted to where you're at, but another one may be, And so it's a good way of getting a greater seasonal rotation. Now in cherries, pretty much everything's coming in, in one burst during the middle of summer. But in the case of pears or in the case of apples, you can have July apples and you can have November apples on the same tree. Okay, and then again, apples store too, so do pears. Many varieties, and so that will extend the season, so you have a lot more fruit over a longer period of time, not so much all at one time, so it doesn't become overwhelming. These trees are a good idea. Now, not all multiple grafted trees are a good idea. Multiple grafted citrus is something that most reputable citrus farmers that I did business with run from like horror. Citrus trees all grow too different from one another. Most navels are kind of like each other, and well, there are a lemon and a lime, for instance, growth not too different, and so on. But in general, the habits are so different that, one is going to want to weep, one's going to shoot straight upright, one's going to overgrow the other. Yeah, it doesn't work well on citrus. It does work pretty well with apples, pears, cherries. Yeah, I advocate the idea. If you are limited on space, it's a good solution to this problem. But in general, having one fruit tree that's going to solve all your fruit problems all year long is not very real. Okay, it just isn't. But if you add more than one fruit tree to the orchard so that you have an extended harvest Well, that means you're going to have one whole heck of a lot of fruit. You either better have a big family, or you make trips to the farmer's market, or you give fruit away, to charities and things like this. Although, man, I compost a lot of fruit, okay? If there's nobody there waiting to eat it, just goes back into the earth again and goes around and around. It's not as horrible as a lot of people think. I mean, I have had people just shame me because they had oranges in my trees and I'm not picking them or taking them someplace or giving them to somebody. Yeah, I have been shamed for this. Well, I'll tell you what, the shamers, I hand them a basket. I go, there's a tree. You start picking. I said, I don't care. I'll give them away. I'll sell them. I'll give them away. I'll do anything you want to with them. But you pick them. The problem with extra fruit is the person who's got the extra fruit has to take the energy and the time to actually go out and get it all out of the tree, which is a lot of work. Okay? It's a lot of work. And then they have to bother to find a place to take it to and then take it there and so on. You're asking a lot. Yeah, so next time you see somebody with a lot of oranges hanging to the tree and you feel like you should shame that person for wasting fruit, don't do it. You're not thinking straight. Okay? You're not thinking straight. Put yourself in the same situation and see what happens to you. I have a lot of waste fruit here, especially, but I sell fruit. I sell stuff all the time, and I still can't keep up with it all. But, I got too many fruit trees, maybe. Depends on how you look at it. But I like variety. I don't want to get stuck with that same piece of fruit every day, even if you could do that. And it's not very easy to do. Hang loose, folks. Aloha.